Hi everyone, I'm Joanne Smith, and today we're going to do lesson 2 for beginners, and that lesson involves tuning your auto harp. If you watched my very first lesson, lesson 1 for beginners, one of the things that I talked about was that you needed to get was one of these T-handled tuning wrenches. So get that, and then get your electronic tuner. I mentioned in the previous video that there are a lot of them out there. You're going to need one. The easiest kind to mess with when you're doing a tuning is a clip-on type. I happen to like the little Snark tuners. They do a good job. They have a nice little clip on there that lets you clip it right onto your instrument, and so makes it handy. And it's got a nice bright display. These usually run on like a button battery, and I usually keep a couple of those handy too, because you never know when you need to tune it and the battery's dead. So I always keep a couple of those in my little pack when I take my picks, my tuner, my tuning wrench, my tuner, and all of that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you step by step how to tune your instrument. So let's get after it. Okay, here we go. I've got my chroma harp over here, and I've got it laid out on a nice flat, well-lit surface so that I can see what I'm doing. And if you'll notice, up at the top here on this particular auto harp, each one of those tuning pins has a note that the string is supposed to be tuned to. Now, if this is the first time you've ever tuned an auto harp, it's going to take a little bit. Typically, when they come from the factory, if you buy them new, or if you have bought a used one, it's way out of tune, and it may take 2 or 3 days for you to get it settled in. But the first thing that you want to do is to avoid tuning, making drastic changes to the strings. So if they're really flat, it's probably not a good idea to just tune it, straight up and go from one end of the harp to the other. What I would do in that case, if it's completely, really flat, just as a general rule or whatever, I would start like up here, like here, and then I would, in which case this particular string is an F, it says right here. So what I would do is I would go across and the string bed, and I would tune first all of the F's all the way down. There's another one right there, okay? And then there's another one, let's see, G sharp, A, okay. And then there's another F down here, okay? So if you do it that way, tuning it note by note and going from note to note to note, first do all the F's, then do all of the G's, then all of the G sharps, and then the A's and the A sharps, and the B's and C's and D's and E's, and do it that way going across the harp. It's going to be easier on the body, okay? Because if you try to tune if it's very flat and you try to tune them one at a time going from this side to this side, you're going to get a whole bunch of tension here at first, but not as much over here, and it just might cause a little bit of instability. Okay? Usually auto harps are pretty tough, so it's probably not going to be an issue. But that's what I'm going to do with this one. Now this one happens to be pretty well settled into tuning. Pardon the dogs. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to start by tuning all the F's, and then I'm going to go to the G's and on up the musical scale, and we'll see if we can get this thing in tune a little bit better. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to get your tuning, your electronic tuner, find a good spot where it can get a good grip on the tuning pins. You can mount it just about anywhere, but I have found that the tuning pins themselves are probably the most consistent place to put the clip-on tuner. You get the most stable signal that way. So what I generally do is I go up here to the top where the little tuning pins are just a little bit closer together. And then I just kind of find a place where I can get a good clip. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 tries to get a good grip on it. And sometimes you have to just kind of finagle it around here. Okay. And get a pretty good seat on there so that it's not wobbling around a lot. And then just point your tuner face towards you so that you can see it well, and then turn it on. Okay, in this case it's on. I see a little white line right here, and if I pluck one of the strings, okay, and what it is telling me right there, it's saying F sharp, a flat F sharp. Well, this is supposed to be an F. And what that tells me is it's springtime. And this thing has gone sharp. Remember I told you in the last video, when it gets humid outside, the wood in the instrument tends to swell, and so the strings will stretch a little bit tighter. So this has gone from F natural and has crept all the way up to where it's almost reading F sharp on the tuner. It's actually a very flat F sharp. So what I need to do is tune it down back to F. Okay, so here we're going to do that. Right. So what I'll do is I'll take the tuning wrench, make sure it's on there really tight, and then you want to pluck the string firmly. Pluck it like you mean it, and just kind of wait for it to settle just a little bit. Do it 2 or 3 times and see if you get about the same result each time. And that's going to tell you about how hard you need to pluck the string to get a decent reading. Okay. All right, so this is just a little bit flat at F sharp. Well, I want to tune it down until it tells me it's F, not F sharp, okay? So I'm going to turn the handle of the tuning wrench counterclockwise. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, okay? Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So, all right, let's pluck this. And then while I'm watching this, I'm going to go down just a smidge. Okay. I gave it just a tiny, tiny little adjustment, and now it's reading F, but a little bit sharp. So now I'm going to keep working at it until I get it to read. Okay, now it's a little bit flat. Oh, now it's a little sharp. Yeah, it's a little flat now, so I want to sneak it back up just a little bit. And I'm telling you, it's one of these kind of things where less is better. Just tiny, tiny, tiny little adjustments. Okay. Okay, here we go again. Okay, and that's pretty good. Okay. Yeah, there we are. Okay, now I'm going to find the next F string, which is this one. I'm going to come down here, find the middle of the string, and pluck it. See what it says. Okay, this one is reading F, but a little bit sharp. So tiny little adjustments. It's almost like thinking when you're turning it, just barely think about turning it, and that's probably all the adjustment that you need. So here we go again. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, now let's go on to the next F, which is right here. Now when you get to the ones that your tuner is actually clipped to, you're going to have to move your tuner, but that's okay. I mean, it just goes with the territory. So we're going to come down here. Okay, once again, this one is saying a flat F sharp, which means that it needs to be tuned down to F. Okay. Okay, little adjustment. Still a little bit sharp. Little bit more. And there we are. Okay, we got it. Okay, now we're going to go down to the next F, which is down here. Okay. And again, I'm getting a flatted F sharp, which tells me I need to tune it back to F. You probably can't see the tuner right now, but okay. But I'm basically doing exactly what I did with the other ones. Just barely giving it just a little nudge. Okay, and occasionally you'll go too far or not enough. Just take your time. This is not something that, you know, you need to rush through, especially when you're first starting to do it. If you take your time. Okay, now I think I probably went a little too far that time. Let's try. Yep, I'm a little bit flat. So now I need to come up just a hair. There we are. Okay. All right, so I mean it's that's basically what you do. Now that I've done all the F's, now I'm going to start on the G strings. Here we go. G. Okay, and this is just like the other one. It's telling me G sharp, but a flat G sharp. So that means I need to tune it down to G because that's what the label says. So here we go. Okay, I went a little bit too far. See, now I've got a really flat G. So now I need to come back up. And there we are. Okay. All right, where's the next G? B, C, D, E, F. Aha! The G is right here where I had the tuner clipped. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this and move my tuner to another set of tuning pins and make sure that it's stable. Now here's something else that you can do. If you happen to have a second one of these, it's really handy to put the tuner on a tuning pin, or the wrench on the tuning pin, and then you can clip your tuner to that. Makes it kind of easier, okay? Easier to see, okay? All right, so let's see. Here we are, G. Okay, and what it's giving me again is a flat G sharp, which means I need to come down just a little bit at a time. Okay, is that too much? Nope. That looks about right. Okay. So, that's basically how you do it. And you do it all the way across the Autoharp until you have every one of them tuned. Now, some Autoharps include fine tuners at the bottom. And I'm going to show you an Autoharp that has those. Okay, what I have here now is a Heartland Autoharp. These are the ones that are made by Ken Ellis of Whippoorwill Acoustics. But a lot of the luthier Autoharps and even some of the Oscar Schmidt Autoharps will come with fine tuners. And this is what they look like. What you have up here at the top is basically the very same thing. You've got the tuning pins just like you would on a regular one, but down here at the bottom, see all these little cams right here? All right, those are operated by a little Allen wrench, and they can allow you to make very, very fine adjustments to your tuning. Now, fine tuners are something that are very handy to have, and they make life a lot easier and tuning a lot easier. But the thing to remember about fine tuners is they're only for minor adjustments. So if you have an auto harp that you get that is very, very out of tune, the first thing you want to do is you want to go up here and do your major tuning with the tuning pins. If it's more than, say, a half step, sharp or flat, get it in the ballpark with these first, okay? And then go down here and polish it with the fine tuners down here. So the fine tuners make it much easier to get it exactly. So, but I'm going to show you one here. I'm going to use the same little trick I showed you a minute ago, where you use a tuning wrench to get the to put the electronic tuner, to clip it to the auto harp. It just makes it easier. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, let's see if I can prop this up so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. Now, usually they will come with a wrench that fits these little cams down here. And for the most part, they're pretty standard. Not all auto harp makers use the same diameter Allen wrench to tune, to use for the fine tuners, but this one works on this particular one. So I'm just going to pick a string at random here. Let's do the low string, and you just put your tuner in there. And let's see if you can see. Can you see the tuner right here? Let me move it down here. Maybe you can see it just a little bit better if I do this. Let's see if I can. There. Okay. There we go. All right, now I'm going to pluck it, and what's it telling me? It's telling me it's a little bit sharp. Now I happen to know that the same, this one, I have a little, a sheet of paper that came with it that tells me what the tuning is for these strings, because the tuning is not printed anywhere on the harp, on this luthier harp. You'll get a guide that you can slip under the strings. A lot of times it tells you what the note it should be. But for the most part, it's going to be very similar. Now this one is showing me, I'm going to have to turn it so that I can see it, and you can too. Okay, so it's saying it should be an F, but it's sharp. Okay, so I'm going to want to just kind of turn this down, and you can actually see, I turned that thing probably almost a half of a turn to get it to come back down to F. So as you can see, having these fine tuners, you can make a rotation, you have more play in adjusting the strings than you do up here on the large tuners, tuning pins. So that's basically tuning your auto harp. And the thing of it is, when you first get your auto harp, it's going to need to be tuned at least once a day for about a week. In fact, I would probably tune it a couple of times that first day. And what that'll do is that'll just kind of get the strings used to the setting, and they'll settle in a whole lot faster. One of the luthiers I know used to, when he would put a brand new set of strings on an auto harp, after he would tune it up the first time, he would take a flat pick and aggressively strum across the strings really hard, and what that would do was help settle the strings in and seat them both at the tuning pin level and down here in the fine tuners. So that's something that you can try too. But don't get frustrated, because it's going to take 2 or 3 times just to get it to kind of hold. And then for the next 2 or 3 days, as it adjusts to its new home, you're going to want to tune it daily for 2 or 3 days. And then after that, it's going to stay pretty stable. And just a once a week tuning should be just about okay. You're always, always, always going to want to tune it up before you go out to play with others, though. So that's just good manners, okay? Showing up with an out-of-tune instrument. In this day and age with electronic tuners, there's no excuse. So always tune up your auto harp before you go to a jam session, or you're going to be playing with other instruments. But for the most part, if you're playing at home, or keep it in its case. Number one, it's going to keep it from getting dusty. And if you have pets in the house, like I do, they're pretty good. They haven't touched any of my auto harps yet, but oh my goodness, if they ever did. That's why I keep them in their cases. I don't want to take any chances. But it keeps also the auto harps kind of protected from any drastic changes in temperature and humidity. I think I mentioned that in the first video. Like if you have, I would not keep your auto harps next to any kind of a heat source, or next to a floor register where cold air blows with the air conditioning in the summertime, anything like that. You want to keep them in a place where the temperature is pretty stable, temperature and humidity is stable. It will be happier that way. So keep it in its case, tune it once a week, and play it every day. Every day. Okay, I'm going to show you one more thing that you can do to help kind of maintain your auto harp too, that I forgot to tell you in the first video. So one of the things that you can get is, let me see, where is that thing? Okay, one of the things that I carry with me all the time is I went to the local hardware store and I bought a China bristle, a very soft paintbrush. And this thing is just wonderful for getting dust out from between the tuning pins. Okay, just like that, and down here at the bottom end, because it's just good housekeeping to keep all of that dust and debris out of there. Okay, it'll protect the finish. Now you can also, it'll go down in between the strings, but here's an even better idea for that, for cleaning underneath the strings without having to remove them. You take a paint stick that you get at the hardware store, go to your hobby or craft store and buy some sticky back felt and put that on there, and then you can slide this right under the strings, and it does a wonderful job of getting the dust out from underneath. And it'll go all the way down. Whoops, knocked something down. It'll actually go down, down here in the bottom, and you can get underneath things like that. So that's a handy, DIY thing. And oh man, yeah, see, I got a lot of, the felt tends to shed too, so you'll pick up a lot of this felt debris and stuff too. So that's basically about it. So if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. Okay, well, that's lesson 2 on how to tune your auto harp, the second in the series of lessons for beginners. So if you have any questions, be sure to post them in the comments below, and I'll answer them as best I can. Also, you can go to my website at autoharpist.com, and I have a lot more information on my website there. And if you like what you see, if you like these video lessons and you would like to see me producing more of them, go to my Patreon account at patreon.com/autoharpist and sign up and join my angel band. It'll help me take care of some of the expenses involved in doing these videos and some of the recording stuff that I do. So that's it for now. So keep playing that auto harp, keep tuning it, and I will see you next time.